Have you noticed how you've always been the one who feels too much? You sense pain before words exist. You hear what others can't say. You walk into a room and absorb the storm before it touches anyone else. You call it empathy, and it is, but it's also exhaustion disguised as virtue. You keep rescuing, soothing, saving, fixing. You bend until you break, and still you whisper, "Maybe they just need me a little more." You've mistaken depletion for purpose. You've mistaken heaviness for depth. And the world keeps praising you for being the one who never stops giving. But they don't see the silence you crawl back to when everyone leaves. You sit there, drained, wondering why your love always costs so much, why you feel invisible after giving everything, why no one ever seems to notice that the healer is bleeding. Pause. Breathe. Let that question echo inside you. Because something deeper is awakening. A quiet knowing that says, "This isn't peace. This isn't love. This is survival dressed as compassion." You were trained to hold the broken pieces of others, even when your own were scattered across the floor. You were taught that saying no is cruel, that choosing yourself is selfish, that boundaries are walls and not doors. But now your soul is tired of the performance. It no longer wants to save the world. It wants to be still. It wants to be whole. Affirm softly, "I release the need to rescue others." Look at your own hands, how many stories they've tried to hold, how many storms they've tried to calm. They tremble now, not from weakness, but from wisdom, because your spirit knows what your mind is just remembering. Not every pain needs your medicine. Not every cry needs your presence. Not every fall needs your hand. You can love people and still let them fall. You can love them and still walk away. You can love them and still say no. Affirm, "I let others walk their own path." There is a sacred rhythm to healing, and interference breaks it. When you pull someone out of their darkness too soon, you steal the lesson their soul was trying to learn. And when you keep doing it, you repeat that pain in your own life again and again until you finally stop mistaking sacrifice for light. You are not heartless for protecting your energy. You are not cold for choosing peace. You are not unkind for closing a door that drains you. You are simply remembering your value in a world that taught you to forget it. Affirm, "My energy is sacred, and I protect it with love." There's a moment every awakened soul reaches when you realize you can't keep drowning to teach others to swim. You can throw the rope, but you can't carry them to shore. You can offer truth, but you can't make them see. You can love deeply, but you can't make them ready. And that hurts, doesn't it? To know that love is not enough? To feel the ache of watching someone choose their suffering while you watch helpless. But this pain isn't punishment, it's clarity. Affirm, I trust the divine timing of every soul's awakening. Listen carefully. When you stop saving everyone, you start saving yourself. When you stop trying to control outcomes, you begin to breathe again. When you stop filling silence with effort, you begin to hear guidance. You were never meant to carry the weight of every life you touch. You were meant to embody light, to stand still so others can remember their own reflection. Affirm softly, I am the mirror, not the savior. There's power in disappearing from what drains you. Power in letting the phone stay silent. Power in stepping back without explanation. Because silence isn't absence, it's alignment. And distance isn't rejection, it's protection. You are learning that peace speaks louder than rescue ever could. That stillness teaches better than words. That boundaries aren't barriers. They are bridges that protect what is sacred. Affirm, my peace teaches more than my words ever could. You don't owe anyone your constant availability. You don't owe them the version of you that never rests. You owe yourself presence, not performance. Maybe for the first time, you can feel the quiet rising inside you. It's not loneliness, it's relief. It's the echo of your soul exhaling after years of carrying what was never yours. Affirm, I no longer confuse chaos with connection. Breathe again. Notice the light behind your eyes, the still pulse inside your chest. This is what it feels like to return home. Not dramatic, not loud, just real. You are no longer the rescuer. You are the witness. You are no longer the flame that burns out to guide others. You are the sunrise that rises anyway. Affirm, I shine without needing to save. Let the world call you distant. Let them call you selfish. Let them misunderstand your silence. Because peace will always look strange to those addicted to chaos. Affirm, I choose peace even when it's misunderstood. You can't save everyone. You were never supposed to. And now you finally understand letting go isn't the end of love. It's the beginning of truth. Affirm, I am free to let go. I am free to be. So rest now. Lay down the armor of compassion that became a cage. Lay down the story that your worth depends on who you save. Lay down the noise that tells you love must hurt. You are allowed to rest in your own light. You are allowed to protect your silence like it's holy ground. You are allowed to live without rescuing anyone, including your old self. Affirm, I am not the savior. I am the space where healing begins.
When you finally stop trying to save everyone, you begin to meet yourself. Not the version that bends to be loved, not the version that performs goodness to feel worthy, but the one who lives quietly, deeply, freely. The silence that once frightened you now feels sacred. It's not the silence of emptiness, it's the silence of return. the place where energy stops leaking and begins to flow inward again. Affirm softly, "My silence is sacred. It restores what the world has taken." You start to realize that your compassion is not a weakness, it's a compass. It points you back to what's true, to what still breathes, even when everything else fades. It reminds you that love is not about how much you give, but how purely you exist. You no longer feel guilty for resting. You no longer apologize for distance. You no longer try to explain peace to those who only understand noise. Affirm gently, "My peace needs no explanation." The more you detach, the clearer life becomes. You start noticing things you never saw before. How the sun moves across the wall. How breath softens when it's not rushed. How stillness begins to hum like music. This is what awakening feels like, the ordinary turning luminous. Affirm, "I find beauty in stillness." And then something beautiful happens. You stop looking for energy outside of yourself. You stop chasing validation in the eyes of those who cannot see you. You stop confusing being needed with being loved. You begin to understand that peace doesn't ask for witnesses. It simply exists, quiet, steady, alive. Affirm, "I am whole even when unseen." You start remembering what you loved before you began rescuing: the morning light, the softness of air before words, the feeling of being your own safe place. You realize how long it's been since you've truly belonged to yourself, how much of your soul was scattered across people who never learned how to hold it. And now you begin to gather those pieces back, gently, patiently, reverently. Affirm, "I call back every part of my energy. I am whole again." This is the moment when love starts to feel different. It stops rushing. It stops demanding. It stops bleeding. It starts breathing. You begin to love from overflow, not from emptiness. You give without losing anything. You hold without clinging. You care without carrying. Affirm, "I love without losing myself." You begin to sense the quiet strength of detachment, not cold, not distant, but deeply rooted. The strength of a tree that no longer apologizes for standing tall. The strength of the ocean that knows how to pull back before it returns. Affirm, "My boundaries are sacred. They protect my peace." And you start noticing how life begins to rearrange itself around your new energy. The chaos that used to chase you slows down. The people who thrive on drama drift away. The ones who match your calm begin to appear. Because energy always finds its mirror. And when you vibrate in peace, you call home what belongs to peace. Affirm, "I attract only what aligns with my calm." There is power in this stillness, not the power of control, but the power of clarity. the kind that doesn't need to prove or defend, it simply knows. You don't need to save anyone because the truth doesn't need saving. You don't need to convince anyone to heal because healing happens in silence. You don't need to explain your awakening because it was never meant to be understood, only felt. Affirm, I walk in peace, not in explanation. There's a tenderness in this kind of awakening, a sweetness in solitude. You begin to notice that being alone isn't a lack of love. It's love purified. It's love without performance. It's love without the need to be returned. Affirm, solitude is my teacher. Silence is my friend. And maybe for the first time, you no longer need to be strong. You don't need to hold everything together. You don't need to prove that your softness is resilience. You simply breathe, and that is enough. Because life isn't asking you to fix it. It's asking you to experience it, fully, consciously, without resistance. Affirm gently, I no longer fight life, I flow with it. The world outside is still loud, still moving, still demanding, but inside you've changed tempo. You're no longer running, you're listening, you're allowing. And in that stillness, everything you once chased begins to move toward you. Affirm, what is meant for me flows to me easily. This is the paradox of awakening. The less you try to hold, the more you receive. The less you chase, the more arrives. The less you speak, the clearer you are heard. Affirm, I trust the rhythm of the universe. You are learning what few ever understand, that peace is not a place you reach, but a presence you remember. That love is not found, it's recognized. That healing doesn't happen through control, but through surrender. Affirm, I remember who I am beyond doing. I am being.
There comes a moment in every awakening when the silence begins to bloom inside you. It grows quietly like light beneath the skin. You no longer look for peace, you become it. You no longer chase love, you radiate it. You no longer fear solitude, you call it home. This is the moment when everything that once drained you begins to lose its power, because you have stopped feeding it with your attention. You have stopped believing that you need to fix what was never yours to hold. Affirm softly, my energy flows where my peace lives. You begin to feel the subtle truth of existence, that nothing real can be taken from you and nothing false can stay. The people who truly see you will meet you in calm. The ones who don't will drift away like waves returning to the ocean. And you will not chase them, because now you understand release is a form of grace. Affirm, I let go with peace, not pain. You've learned that love is not rescue, it's recognition. It's seeing another soul as whole, even when they don't remember it yet.
You can stand beside someone in compassion without stepping into their storm. You can love deeply and still protect your silence. Affirm, I love with freedom. I love with clarity. You are beginning to see how beautiful it is to live unguarded, not hard, not defensive, but awake. To open your heart without losing your center. To walk into the world knowing that every encounter is a reflection, not a responsibility. Affirm softly, I meet the world as a mirror of my peace. And maybe as you walk through your day now, you'll feel a new kind of stillness moving with you. The kind that doesn't ask for understanding. The kind that simply exists, quiet and radiant, like sunlight that no longer tries to be seen. This is what returning to yourself feels like. The noise fades, the urgency dissolves. Even your thoughts begin to soften, no longer sharp but fluid, like water finding its path. Affirm, I move like water. I flow with ease. You are remembering that nothing about you was ever broken, only buried beneath too much effort. That your natural state has always been calm. That your heart was never meant to live in survival mode. And as you let go of saving, fixing, proving, you begin to live. Affirm gently, I am whole without effort. Every soul you meet is walking their own sacred path. Some are still learning through chaos, some are still chasing illusions, and some, like you, are remembering. And when you remember, you no longer try to wake others, you simply embody wakefulness. Affirm, I awaken through presence, not persuasion. You begin to notice how life mirrors your awareness. The quieter you become, the clearer everything is. The softer you move, the stronger your energy feels. You don't need to speak loudly anymore. Your peace is your message. Affirm softly, my peace speaks louder than my words. There is a sweetness in simplicity now, in doing less, in needing less, in wanting only what resonates with truth. You start living without armor, without noise, without expectation. You walk through the world not as someone trying to heal it, but as someone quietly harmonizing with it. And that is how real healing happens, not through force, but through frequency. Affirm, my calm transforms what it touches. You are no longer the rescuer, you are the reminder. You are no longer the fire that burns out for others, you are the light that remains. You are no longer chasing meaning, you are creating it with every breath. Affirm softly, I am light in motion. And as the world keeps spinning in its noise, you stay anchored in what is eternal, presence. You no longer fight against what is. You rest in it. You move with it. You love through it. Affirm, I live in harmony with all that exists. This is the quiet mastery of awakening. To be in the world, but not consumed by it. To care, but not carry. To love, but not lose yourself. To give, but never abandon your center. Affirm gently,
I give from overflow, not from emptiness. You are learning that your boundaries are not walls, they are doors that open only to peace. That solitude is not isolation, it's connection in its purest form. That compassion is not interference, it's allowing. Affirm, I allow life to unfold without control. And now, standing in this clarity, you realize that the world doesn't need saving, it needs remembering. And the first to remember is always the one who stops trying to fix and starts to be. Affirm softly, I remember, I am awake, I am free. Take a slow breath. Let it fill your body with light. Let it remind you that everything you were trying to find already lives within you. Peace was never missing. It was only waiting for your permission to stay. Affirm, peace is my nature, love is my language, stillness is my home. And if these words found you in a moment when you needed to remember your own energy, it's not coincidence, it's alignment. You were meant to hear this now because your soul was asking to rest. Affirm softly, I am home in my being. So let this silence remain with you. Let it follow you through the day. Let it shape your decisions, your words, your love. And when the world calls you to rescue again, smile quietly and remember, you can't save everyone. But by saving your peace, you remind others that they can save theirs too. Affirm, my peace awakens peace in others. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, let it echo. Leave a word, a sign, a symbol, not for me, but for the ones who will come after you, the ones still learning that letting go is love and that silence can be holy. Affirm softly, I am awake, I am free, I am whole.